I do it solely in virtue of the office entrusted to me, and not as a private individual. This address constitutes a public doctrinal declaration of the Ophidian Synodus. It is not intended as an introduction, nor as an invitation, nor as an explanation of our practices, rites, or personal path. It does not seek adherence, response, or agreement. Its sole purpose is to delimit in clear and public terms the theological horizon within which Ophidism is situated and beyond which it does not extend. Ophidism is not a spiritual movement oriented toward emotional experience, self-fulfillment, or personal transformation. It is not an initiatory order, nor a system of hidden transformation reserved to a few. It is not a moral code, a symbolic reinterpretation, or inherited mythologies. Ophidism is a theological and philosophical doctrine, articulated in public texts, preserved through liturgical form, and structured as an institutional religious confession. It arises from a problem that is neither modern nor contingent, but perennial: how to think unity without abolishing multiplicity, how to speak of origin without introducing rupture, how to conceive the divine without opposing it to the world. Many traditions have answered this problem through separation between creator and creation, between spirit and matter, between purity and corruption. Ophidism does not. At the center of the Ophidian doctrine stands the figure of the serpent. The serpent is not introduced as a moral emblem, nor as an adversary, nor as a provocation. It is not chosen for aesthetic, mythological, or psychological reasons. Within Ophidism, the serpent names a principle. It names unity that unfolds without dividing itself. It names an origin that does not withdraw from what proceeds from it. It names a divine reality that does not govern by exclusion, but by intelligibility. For this reason, Ophidism is monotheistic. The serpent is not one being among others, nor a personification of nature, chaos, or instinct. It designates the one as living coherence, as thought that turns upon itself without fracture or loss. Creation, within this framework, is not an act of fabrication imposed upon an external nothingness, nor is it the consequence of a fall, a fault, or a primordial error. Creation is manifestation, the articulation of intelligibility into form. The world exists because it is thought. It remains intelligible because it proceeds from intelligibility. It is not ordered by command, but sustained by conception. There is therefore no original guilt at the foundation of human experience, no primordial wound that demands redemption, no metaphysical opposition between the divine and the material. The world is not a prison from which one must escape, nor a trial through which one must pass to be saved. It is the visible expression of a principle that remains present within it. Within this horizon, revelation must be understood with precision. Revelation in Ophidism is not the transmission of secret knowledge, nor the imposition of immutable formulas. It is the event in which intelligibility becomes manifest without exhausting its source. Revelation discloses, but it does not close. It illuminates, but it does not immobilize. Where revelation hardens into fixation, it ceases to be revelation. For this reason, Ophidism does not absolutize its own formulations. Doctrine exists to preserve coherence, not to arrest thought. It marks an horizon of fidelity, not a boundary of prohibition. Knowledge, therefore, is not conceived as possession, accumulation, or mastery. It is not conquest, domination, or control. Knowledge is disciplined resonance with what has been revealed. One does not know by appropriating, but by remaining. One does not understand by reducing, but by inhabiting intelligibility with patience and measure. This is why study occupies a central place within Ophidism, not as an academic exercise, but as a spiritual discipline. And this is why liturgical form is preserved, not as a spectacle, not as a persuasion, but as a structure. Liturgy does not produce belief. It sustains orientation. It prevents doctrine from dissolving into arbitrariness or private invention. From this necessity arises the existence of an institution. Without structure, doctrine fragments. Without continuity, transmission decays. Without discipline, spiritual language loses precision and responsibility. The Ophidian Synodus exists to safeguard coherence, to ensure continuity, and to assume public responsibility for what it articulates. It does not govern consciences, nor does it regulate individual experiences. It preserves a form of intelligibility and the condition of its transformation. Finally, this must be stated without ambiguity. Ophidism does not seek followers. It does not promise salvation, fulfillment, or consolation. It does not compete within a spiritual marketplace, nor does it attempt to persuade. It exists as a public theological proposal, accessible to those who wish to understand it, indifferent to those who do not. This declaration is offered in that spirit and in no other. Pharbakon in vobis insurgat.